Justice League Dark, issue 26, Ram V writing with Amankey and Hulpin on the art. I get to rest my voice for a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is definitely like the final arc of this story, and by that I mean the story from the start of the run.
It seems like he's getting to wrap up Tynan's Upside Down Man stuff, but in his way. Like, I feel like maybe Tynan gave Ram the
Cliff Notes.
Like, yeah, like, here's kind of what he represented and what I was meaning to do, and then I got Batman. And Ram's like, okay, I can work this in. And it's really good because it really shows the culmination of what we've had with the Other Kind and Hecate and Swamp Thing and the Injustice, what do we call them? The Injustice League Dark, and what they had done with Swamp Thing and him. And then when Ram V came in and did the Pillars of Life stuff, everything seems to be coming here that what magic is.
It's all tied up really, not neatly in that, it has a nice clean ending, but more neat in the sense it references all the various facets of this book over the past 2 years and kind of weaves them in to a larger point.
Down to the Lords of the Chaos and Order with what's his name? Khalid.
Yeah.
With Khalid finally assuming Fate, the title, which is real cool because Bobo needs someone to kind of help them out here, and he comes looking for Kent, but Kent's long gone, and he's like, I need you to do this for me, so it kind of, so go ahead.
And this is where it starts tying into the idea of the issue, which is also the name of the story of this issue is belief. And the idea that, he needs Khalid to believe that he's good enough to be Fate. There's no point in him just putting the helmet on and go and winging it. He's got to commit to it. And that's kind of what this decision is here.
Yeah, and I also like that he makes the one thing I always loved about Zatanna and Zatara to a lesser extent is that she is a stage magician. She doesn't necessarily use her magic for that. It's still stage magic, right? Yeah. And here, I like that Ram V takes the moment to show what the difference is of magic versus stage magic and how stage magic is a suspension of belief. You know that they're pulling a trick on you, but when it's really successful, you don't care. And that's always something that I loved about like Penn and Teller is they would show you how they do the trick, right? And then they take it one step closer to make you question what they just showed you. And that's ultimately what Ram V is doing here with the comparison of, but ultimately it is magic, right? Because magic's all about belief. And if you believe what you're seeing, what does it matter if they're doing a trick to you?
Yeah, that comes up near the start because Constantine and Bobo go and visit Xanadu.
And the whole idea of tarot.
Yeah, and she kind of pulls this up of, it's about illusion and intuition, and it's like tricks are illusions ultimately, and so is a lot of actual magic in the way that it works in the DC universe, but it's the belief in it that gives it form and reality.
Power, right?
Yeah.
And that's Xanadu ties it to Hecate that way, and that the Upside Down Man was all this negativity that she felt, magic being misused, right? It created this dark other of her, and now it's kind of because of that belief that it was so bad, it's given it form to the Other Kind, right? Did I read that wrong?
No, that's.
And I feel like that summation was better than what Tynan did. No shots to Tynan exactly. But that whole idea of the dark other being created through Hecate, I think that Ram V distilled it really well.
I think it doesn't undermine anything that Tynan does. It doesn't take back anything Tynan did. It adds another layer to it. It adds some more depth that makes it ultimately more interesting.
Whereas I felt like Tynan was really leaning into the horror aspect of dark, I do feel like Ram V is way more interested in the actual magic side.
It reminds me a lot more of like Lemire's Justice League Dark stuff, where it was a bit more kind of pulpy, magic-y fun.
Yeah. And so the fact that, it's not like this hopelessness, almost Lovecraftian version of the Other Kind. It's like, oh no, this is just a creature. He's just a creature, and we can... And someone else is here. Another creature that they can deal with and could be back, but it's not like the oh man, if he breaks through, we're in trouble, that I was getting from Tynan. So
Yeah, like so they're there in the other world, and they've got a shield up, and they're doing what they can. They're not even like fighting the Upside Down Man. They're kind of debating him with this ideological debate as to function about the belief of magic, and that's how they'll win ultimately.
Right.
And this is where the other maybe death that is probably not a death comes in.
right.
The Upside Down Man, he spites Constantine because Constantine's basically like, you believe that magic is absolute, but the fact is we all believe that magic has a cost, and our belief of that will spread even in this realm, and that will limit you, and there will be a cost for you as well, even if you don't believe it, because enough of us do, you will.
Right.
And the Upside Down Man's like, nah, enough of this shit, and blasts him with like a laser beam thing out of his hand, and it goes straight through his chest, like right through seemingly his heart. And that's the final page is Zatanna cradling Constantine's potentially dead body.
Yeah, a smirking dead Constantine.
Yes, which I don't think he is dead. There's a trick here. There's because again, going back to Xanadu, there's the final tarot card. You have to draw 3, and he's like, there's no point. It's always the fool with me, and it always is. And she draws it, and it's death.
Yeah.
But
but as not that I'm an expert on tarot, but I listen to enough paranormal podcast stuff where they touch on tarot. Death isn't usually a death card; it's a finality card, right?
Yeah.
And if this was the ultimate play for Constantine to help, wall off the other kind, then of course the death card's going to come into play.
It is, and I think it's really notable that the start of this issue spends 3 or 4 pages there, and we are talking about stage magic and trickery as opposed to physical magic in the same way. And that's very Constantine, right? Just scumbaggery, trickery, just not literally magic himself out of situations. It's the bluffing that is his superpower, if you will.
That's I'm not a big Constantine fan, but that is the thing that I do like about him is like, yeah, sure, he does all these underhanded magical, but that's not what endears him to people. It's the fact that he is this pickpocket almost, that he'll steal your wallet.
It's the roguish aspect of it. Yes, he does quantifiably have the magical ability to back up most of his claims.
Yeah, but that's never his go-to. He wants to get out.
It's get out the easiest way. Like I say, he knows there's a cost. Right. There's always a cost. So the less he does, the less he has to pay, ultimately.
Right. Exactly.
So why would he resort to that if he doesn't have to?
Right. So that's
definitely what it feels like here, right?
Right. And so again, with the smirk, and this is different. I'll bring this differently from the Action Comics debate, whereas here I feel like there's the narrative that, let's say this is it for Constantine, right? And that's his ultimate smirk, right? He paid the cost finally. He's gotten out of it. It plays in context that in order to seal the other kind there, he had to sacrifice himself.
Would be an interesting.
It's narratively it fits.
Yeah.
Right. Or it is a trick, and it doesn't feel cheap. It's not just a death for the death's sake. So, but again, with the smirk that's Ram V playing with, and Nahoven at the same time, who draws a really good Constantine. Like he is scruffy enough, and you do believe that this guy is capable of anything. So, but yeah, really good issue. Like
no, it is.
Ram V.
I think we've got. It feels like maybe one more before the end of this this era of Justice League Dark, and then I know we've got the break for
right. And he said, "Don't you worry, don't you worry about Justice League Dark. It's going to be reworked."
He's very clear. This is not the end of his run. While it is the end of this story, he will be doing more stuff after Endless Winter on the title for sure. And I'm really excited to see what he comes up with from scratch, as opposed to just finishing off Tynan's threads, which I think he's done a wonderful job of. But new stuff. I'm intrigued.
Did you read Demon Knights?
Of course I did.
Cornell? Yeah. I feel like Ram V's idea of Justice League Dark is more in line with that. Demon Knights.
It's Demon Knights meets Lemire's JLD as opposed to Tynan's cosmic horror almost.
Right. And both are equally valid, but I'm way more dialed in, I think. As much as I love Tynan's run, I think Ram V is more my speed of what I like to read.
I
so-
think I like this style of JLD, the Demon Knights in DC Comics. I prefer that. Whereas the cosmic horror, I feel like I almost just want it to be separate, maybe as a black label version or just a create our own thing entirely. I think that might, I'd probably enjoy it more there with a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of a body horror idea of Bobo the chimp, right? Like, there's this ape that knows that knows about life and the impermanence, whereas we think of most animals just kind of going out about. Like, there's a horror aspect to that character, but I much prefer the pulpy. Hey, this chimp's a detective.
He's a detective with a badass sword.
Yeah,
like he literally wears a Sherlock Holmes deerstalker.
Right.
It's
great.
The inspirations there are clear, and they're not trying to hide it. And I like when they just lean into that and have fun with it.
So, all right. So, what'd you rate in this Justice League Dark?
It's an 8.5 from me. Really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna give it the 9. I think also I just have a real honeymoon period with Ram V right now, since he took over solely. So
yeah,
I'm gonna enjoy as much as I can.
Between this and that issue of Catwoman, I know he has an OGN coming from Image in the next month or so.
Has it blue and the green?
It is, and your mic's gone, by the way. But I love the previews. Looks good. I'm pretty tempted. Yeah.